tell me a little bit about what you guys do and how you've grown in the last 5 years.
Yeah, so Dugout Mugs was invented in a college baseball dugout by our founder Randall Thompson. He was, guy like us, just lived and breathed baseball all his life. He got to play for a minute in pro ball for the Toronto Blue Jays organization, and then, like all of us, at some point, got told, "Hey, you're not good enough anymore.
Right.
Thanks for coming." So he went back. He was working a corporate job he hated, and coaching at his alma mater. And the hitting coach there uh, was taking baseball bats
Yeah.
and cutting the barrel off and giving the handle to guys and saying, like, "Hey, like, focus on the path of your hands." So Randall saw a bunch of pieces of wood that looked like this chopped off into the dugout, and I don't know how much he was drinking at the time, but his first thought was, I wonder if I could drink a beer out of that.
Right.
So he created the original Dugout Mug, holds 12 ounces of your favorite hot or cold beverage. We're officially licensed with Major League Baseball, Minor League Baseball, the MLBPA, and the Hall of Fame. And today our mission is to celebrate and serve the heroes of the baseball community by creating products that bring them closer to the game they love. And throughout the last 5 years, we've doubled in size every single year, and really narrowed down on our missions statement. Added a lot of variety to the range of products we have, but all of it just geared to bring baseball fans closer to the game.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been a big fan for, of course, I got mine.
Awesome.
Um, but I've been a big fan of yours long before you guys ever had the licensing, and the fact that you have it through MLBPA and minor league baseball and major league baseball and the Hall of Fame. I know how hard it is to get licensing. How important has that been to your business as a whole, and how did you go about getting that as a well, you're not really a startup anymore, but how
Mm.
did you go about getting that as what a smaller organization, what you used to be, to help you become the big organization that you are today? Because it's really hard to get licensing.
Yeah, so from very early on, we've always had a product that people just gravitate towards. Um, I'm the marketing guy. I can brag about revenue all day, but I know that it's a lot harder to sell things that aren't as cool as this. So if you bring it to a game, bring it to a sports bar, you'll immediately get 15 people who come up and ask you, "Hey, what is that? Where'd you get that?" And we were fortunate enough to get our product in some of the right hands early, and people in power positions at those organizations saw what we call the dugout mugs effect. People coming up to you asking you what it is. So from super early on, before we had any kind of numbers behind us, we knew that we had something special, and those folks granted us the rights to use their brands, and it's really added to our rocket ship of growth.
Right. So tied to that growth, obviously, if I put beer in the mug, I drink the beer. When the beer is gone, I go get another beer. But the mug itself, I already have. So how do you go about getting people to broaden their collection to get more and more and more mugs, so that they don't just buy one and say, "Yeah, I have it. I don't need any more." How do you continue to grow beyond a certain point?
So the simple way, the cheating way, is just create more products. We've got now the original 12-ounce mug, the wine glass, the shortstop whiskey glass, the bottle opener, and introducing this year the metal dugout mug.
Yeah.
Let me grab one of these for you. Still licensed by MLB. Looks like those old school Easton bats. It's got a little slider top here. So that's the easy way to get people to buy again and again. But another great way is through gifting. Our products are purchased as gifts over 80% of the time. So every single wedding season, graduation, coaches' gifts at the end of the year, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Christmas, Valentine's Day, are all opportunities for us to get in front of new customers, but also to show our existing customers how happy people are when they receive Dugout Mugs as gifts.
Gotcha. So obviously, I don't want you to give away all your company secrets, and but I want you to give away some of them.
Sure.
From a marketing standpoint, what are your biggest strategies? Is it to make people aware of Dugout Mug, or to get them or to get them to purchase? Like, where in the funnel, where in the purchase funnel are you spending your efforts, and what are the type of tactics that are most effective for you?
Um, all over. All of the above is the answer to almost everything with the size we are now. One way we've grown a lot is through our shot glass. We say, hey, grab a shot glass for free. Just cover the $8 it takes to ship it to you. We know through our upsells and post purchase flows that initial $8 purchase is actually worth 30 to us after 60 days. So it's a great little almost loss leader type thing that we use to get people in the funnel quickly and cheaply. And then we know we can expand on their value from there.
Gotcha. So the idea started out as a big bat that you cut. You explained
Mhm.
that, but now that you have the product, are you still working from the full bats, or is this as big as they ever get on a piece of wood?
So the way they're manufactured now, before all the environmentalists come at us for wasting a bunch of wood, we take the same billets, a 36-inch cylinder of wood that you would usually make one baseball bat out of, and we make them into 3 dugout mugs.
So from one, instead from one, what would make one bat, you can turn into 3 mugs.
Correct.
So it sounds like it's actually more effective to drink out of the bat than it is to actually play baseball itself, is what I'm
It
hearing.
is much more environmentally friendly. Yes.
So again, to dive into the marketing piece, because that's really where my interest is, tell me
Mhm.
what some of your most successful campaigns have been, whether it's digital or traditional. I'm just sort of interested. I think we found each other originally because you would put out some really clever campaign, which I thought was really neat on social, and I commented on it. I might have even tagged you on it, and that's sort of how we met each other. But I'd love to hear sort of about your creative process, some of the ideas you have, and what have been some of your most successful campaigns.
Sure. Our company was built on Facebook ads. For anyone in the digital marketing space, last decade has pretty much been Facebook ads for everyone. This year, Apple decided to choose privacy as their marketing campaign for the year, and they threw a wrench in things. So we have had to get a lot more creative. A big piece of what we did this year was sponsoring a lot of creators in the baseball space. So the guys at Barstool, the guys at John Boy Media, and a bunch of other smaller creators out there with podcasts and blogs and YouTube shows. That's all been great because each one of them has a really loyal and baseball purist fan base. We have a product that, as cool as it is, takes the right person to look at it and say, "Yep, I'll pay $50 for that." So we've been able to find all these pockets of diehard baseball fans that like to watch a game, like to pour a beer. Drinking out of a bat, reminds them of playing catch with their dad in their backyard growing up. So it's just about finding all those people, and then from there, it's just two baseball guys talking to each other. I played in college ball. Our founder played in pro ball. Our sales guy just finished up playing college ball. We are for the most part, baseball purists here, and that really comes across in our products and in our content.
I mean, this sounds like the dream opportunity. You played
Mm,
played college ball. You played some very high level ball
mm,
before they gave you the bad news that baseball professionally just wasn't for you, as you
mm.
said.
Yep.
I mean, how did you initially find this opportunity?
So during college, I was working for a company called Anchor Bat Company. They're a small wood bat company here in Greenville, South Carolina. I was running social media for them, and it was just a part-time thing. And one day, our Anchor account got a message from the Dugout Mugs account, said, "Hey, your social looks awesome." I was like, "Hey, thank you guys, appreciate that." A few months later, I was heading down to spring training to drop off some bats to some players, and I hit the guys at Dugout Mugs up, and I said, "Hey, I want to get some gifts for players. Figured you guys would fit right in. What can you do for me?" They got me a couple mugs. I show up to pick them up and pay for them. And Randall said, "Don't worry about it. You're good. Just take them." I was like, "Wow, thanks, man. Appreciate it." And, from there, just kind of continued the relationship. They ended up hiring me as a freelancer to run their social media for a few months in 2018. And we got to the end of our 3-month agreement, and they told me, "Hey, thanks for coming. Good luck with everything." And I left, and had another job for a year and a half or so before Randall called me back one day and said, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And I said, I'm at a job that I don't like, and I want to get back to something I'm passionate about. So took over as a CMO 21 months ago. And yeah, it's been a dream job for sure.
As your company gets bigger, what are some of the tools that you use to manage your prospects and your customers? Like, are you using a campaign management system, or like, are you managing what are you managing your website through? Like, I think I'm trying to
Like
do,
our tech stack.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on Shopify Plus. Made the jump from Shopify to Shopify Plus this year. We use Klaviyo as our CRM slash email marketing service. Emotive for all of our SMS broadcasts, and those three pretty much carry the load. We use a few other tracking tools that have also been affected by all the iOS 14 updates this year. But from this point, my job is really to just build an all-star team that can manage each vertical themselves, and just keep the ship pointed in the right direction.
So is the entire team as big baseball enthusiasts as you are? Are you big enough at the point where if you're looking for an email specialist, you just find the best darn email specialist you can find, or are you looking for sports people first?
It's a little bit of both. I love hiring athletes. I think there's a lot of lessons that get learned on the baseball field or the football field or the basketball court that transfer really well over to work, especially in a startup setting where sometimes you got to grind it out, and things aren't always perfect. We don't always have every tool we need. Um, but just finding grinders like that is great. So I've got a PR manager who wasn't a gifted player, but loved baseball forever. He was a bat boy for the Astros when he was a kid in the 90s and 80s. I've got a former college basketball player on my team who grew up going to all of her brother's baseball games throughout her life. So it's not always former players, but oftentimes it's people who have a love and appreciation for the game.
So obviously, Dugout Mugs, the name Dugout, it's baseball. But have you considered branching into other sports? You do a golf club one, and that a soccer ball one. Like, has that been a consideration, or is all your expansion focused within baseball at this moment?
Right now, it's all about baseball. We are still fortunate that there's so much room to grow. Company's growing at a pretty good rate. We are the 719th fastest growing company in America on Inc. 5000 this year. So it's been insane growth, but I've also gone to MLB games in Denver and Kansas City and Atlanta and Tampa this year, where I hold a dugout mug and 30 people come up and ask me what it is and tell me that they've never seen it before.
Right.
So which is at first discouraging, because I'm like, I know I'm spending a lot of money to market this to you guys. Why aren't you seeing it? But it's just because the market is huge. Our target demo is baseball fans and friends and family of baseball fans to buy them gifts, which in America makes up 200 million people. So plenty of room to grow within baseball still. We still don't think we're great at this. We still think there's a lot of refinement and optimization we can do in every part of our business. So sticking with baseball for now.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you talk about how you're doubling in growth, 3, 4, 5 years in a row, and then you bump into somebody who hasn't heard of your product, and in one way, that's actually tremendous. That's actually great news, because you're like, man,
Right.
we're growing at this clip that we're running at, and people still haven't heard of us. Imagine what it's going to be like when everyone has heard of us. So I guess
Right.
in one way, it shows that there's still tremendous opportunity as you move forward, as opposed to, like, if you got to a point where everybody's heard of you, then you're like, okay, well, maybe we're going to start stabilizing. But it sounds like you're still sort of going up the hockey stick from a growth standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And we made it to game three of the World Series in Atlanta this year. And that was the most amount of times people knew what they were and knew who we were. So we probably had 15 people come up to us throughout the day and say, "Hey, are those the beer mugs you can drink out of from baseball bats?" And we were like, "Yeah." And they asked us about it, and then they were surprised to find out that I was sitting with the CEO and the owner and the founder and everyone. So that was cool to kind of start to get that recognition. But yeah, there's still millions and millions of baseball fans who have no clue what we're doing.
So who are some of the most famous MLB stars that you've just randomly come across? You're like, hey, they're using our product, or you turn on MLB Network and you're like, hey, there's our bat in the background. Like, what are some of the coolest instances of that you sort of found by mistake?
Yeah, there's been a lot. A big one that happened this year was we saw an order come in for a full set of Mets products, and the personalization on the back said, "Congratulations, Steve Cohen." And we're like, that's interesting. And now if you look on Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, his profile picture on Twitter is him sitting in front of a shelf with a bunch of our products on him. So that was a cool one from this year. But there's so many guys in the league who have our stuff that we didn't even know about until we reached out. Justin Turner, David Ortiz, Mariano Rivera, Pudge, like some, absolute baseball legends that either had our product, bought it for themselves, or were gifted it. So it's really great when we can reach out to a player or an agent, and they say, "Oh yeah, he actually already has some of your stuff. That's awesome." Makes doing any kind of collaborations a lot easier and a lot more fun.
Are there any active or former MLB players that are part of your marketing plan that you either pay as an endorser or for to be in commercials or ads, or is that, if not, is that part of the plan?
Um, it might be. We've been really fortunate in our business. We started in an initiative a couple years ago called Cheers to Charity, where we pick a charity every month and donate a grand up front, and then run a sale with that foundation to raise more proceeds for them. So this year we've worked with the David Ortiz Foundation, the Mariano Rivera Foundation, Pudge's group, Justin Turner's group, Tanner Houck's Pitch for Adoption. So that has been the main way we've worked with players. They usually come on, do an Instagram live with us and talk about it, post about it, give away some autograph cards and some autograph mugs. And we found, with the authenticity of our story and the uniqueness of our product, a lot of players are more than willing to do it, for free or for a good cause. So haven't had to shell out a ton of money for players to rock our stuff. It's just another example of the product kind of taking care of that for us.
Gotcha. Well, this has been great. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think would be really cool?
Roger Maris's grandson is our sales manager.
Really? Is that
Yeah,
like coincidence or not? Like, how did that come about?
he played ball. His name is Blaze, Blaise, Blaze Maris. He played ball at Florida Tech, which is Randall's alma mater. And I don't even know how they met or got together, but when I got here, they said, "Hey, this is Blaze. This is the guy who's in charge of wholesale," and he happens to be Roger Maris's grandson. So, like I said, like throughout the company, just so many stories of baseball lovers and people with it in their blood.
So, working with Roger Maris's grandson, do you ever have ideas like, hey, let's put out a limited edition of only 61 at bats, bats part of the Maris collection, that type of thing?
Yeah, so we sold 61 mugs in I think it was August. It was whenever the anniversary was of his 61 home run season. And yeah, it was a great special edition thing we did with him and his family. And proceeds from that went to I forget the charity off the top of my head, but it was a really great cause. And yeah, like I said, like it's so easy and fun when it's a bunch of baseball guys with connections to the game at every level that we get to partner up with.
All right. So, last question, I'll leave you with this. Do the majority of people, are they actually drinking out of them, or is it more of a display item for the shelf?
Pretty much 50-50, honestly. We've sent out some surveys. They all come out pretty even. It fluctuates with the time of year and if your team's playing good or not. As you can see, I've got a bunch on my shelf, but people typically break them out on game day. Typically break them out at their bachelor party when they're giving their gifts to all their teammates. So it's a pretty even split. But they're certainly meant to be drank out of. We've got a lifetime warranty if anything ever happens to them. So feel free to pour one up and drink it down.
That sounds great. No, it's funny as we're talking through this. I told you I run a ball leagues, and one of our biggest expenditures every year is like buying trophies for everybody because we have four divisions,
Mhm.
and like these would be make fantastic MVP awards and
Mhm.
Players Choice awards, and um, you ever get any of those types of orders or
A lot, actually. We'll get a lot of orders come in that are like, fantasy baseball champion of their league that year.
yeah.
A lot of orders for youth travel ball teams and college teams. We think they make the best trophies ever because they sit on a shelf and look awesome. Or you can put some champagne in them and celebrate like a champion.
This is awesome, Nate. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate your time. This is awesome.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll talk on Twitter soon.